Hey guys, and welcome to your February 2020 Tarot Creativity Forecasts. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these readings for artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, and anybody who is working on their personal growth or their spirituality and self-expression in any way. So if those areas of life are intriguing to you right now, go ahead and keep watching. I also wanted to give a really quick announcement about the Tarot Self-Therapy group course that we have coming up. I will put all of the information below. This is a course that starts actually this month in February, and all of the information again will be in the link below this video. It's essentially a course that takes you through really forming a deeper personal relationship with your deck from specifically a self-therapeutic perspective. So we're going to be working with the cards in a very gentle way, getting to know the archetypes and exploring the archetypes and their ins and outs very in depth, and also working with self-healing spread work and how you can really use tarot as a self-healing tool. So if you're looking for something to indulge your curiosity in, especially when it comes to tarot and divination or even healing work in general, this course could have a lot for you. And we also do have a group where you can chat with other participants as well. Alright, so that information is below the video. Let's get right into your reading. Hey there, Leo, and welcome to your February reading. While I was tuning in spiritually for you, I asked for some guidance for Leos for the month, and I was seeing something kind of interesting. It was sort of multiple perceptions at once. So the first thing that I saw was the Temperance card in tarot. So if you're familiar with the Temperance card, you have some sense of kind of what it means, and we'll get to that. But then the other piece that came through with it was actually musical. So this could also be like a message for someone out there who is involved in music or expresses themselves musically. But I was hearing the song Float On by Modest Mouse, and the feeling of that card and then the song together really, to me, kind of gave me the impression of like what this month is for Leos. And a lot of it I feel has to do with kind of just like changes that you're going through, maybe in your inner and your outer life, and that there could be some maybe challenges that come along with these changes that you're going through, or there could be things that maybe are coming to the surface that you are maybe acknowledging and releasing. There could also be some things that maybe seem like they're not really going your way at first, or there could be some details that still have to be worked out during the month. But the overwhelming like message I'm getting for you is just like to float with it, to just go with the flow, and to not let anything get you too down because I feel like what you're going through right now is a very creative process, and what is kind of going to be born from this is the next kind of reinvention of yourself. Because at the same time, when I was kind of hearing the song and then seeing the card, then I also got this really quick like flash of a woman with like really big like long hair, but it was like all bunched up in like a tight bun, and then she kind of like ripped it off, and then her hair was like really big. So again, you know, all of these messages that come through intuitively during the meditation, I try and interpret them to the best of my ability. For some of you on a mundane level, it could be a symbol of your hair and maybe doing something different with your hair. Leos know how to take care of their hair. I will say, I feel like I learn the most about hair care from my like Leo friends. But so there could be something to that literally for those of you who find that to be relevant. But I also kind of feel like that sense of like letting your hair down or letting your hair kind of be more wild is a symbol of like a reinvention of self. And that reinvention specifically has to do with not repressing things. Like it could mean the end of a phase where you have been slightly or kind of in a significant way repressing things that you want to say or aspects of yourself that you would like to share. For example, if you are a Leo who has like an online platform, or if you have a podcast or your own YouTube channel, there might be like areas of your life that you have been like, oh, I'm just not gonna go there because I feel like it would just make it more complicated or whatever. And you might feel ready to kind of like let your hair down in that way this month. You might feel like, you know what, it just feels good to like embrace the fullness of who I am right now. And specifically, I want to do that in, you know, this type of a way. And it has a lot to do with self-expression, I think, for you, Leo. So the hair is definitely coming through as a really strong symbol. And maybe doing something more playful with your hair, or like I said, you know, having that be a symbol for how you share yourself with the world and how you feel while you're doing that. Because like it definitely gave me that sense of relief of when your hair's been like up in a tight ponytail or something, and then you take it down and it's just, whew, it feels good. So let's get a look at your cards and we will see what else wants to come through for you at this time. Leo, Leo, Leo. Okay. So let's take a look here for Leos. And then we're also going to get some messages from your Animal Spirit Oracle cards, which are just for me such a integral part of the month during these readings. Leo, 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 Leo. Okay, so let's take a look. Wow, your path card is the eagle. Gorgeous. And the lesson or influence, tarantula. That's funny. Yeah, so what I'm getting here, Leo, there's a couple of things that are coming through really, really fast. So I'm going to try and catch all of them before they leave me. And so sometimes how it feels in these readings. So there's something about these two creatures that when you put them together, it makes me feel like you are kind of being asked, or somehow you're giving yourself permission in February to rise above a situation in which you have become a little too close to the details, or a little bit too like personally invested to the point where it's become a little bit more difficult to kind of figure out what you actually want to do. And you're kind of being shown or reminded, I feel, by these cards that you can rise above and out of that kind of inner space where you almost feel like your energy is being drained because you're considering too many options, or because you're too close to the situation somehow. Because we have the eagle as your path card. So the eagle is, for me, a totem of like the highest vision, like taking the highest, most powerful viewpoint of something. And I also feel that this card has a great deal of transcendence to it, right? It's a card of being able to transverse like worlds. Eagles are known in a lot of indigenous lore for being these kind of otherworldly birds because they are always around water. Bald eagles in particular are always found, near sources of water. They don't live in places that are just pure, dry land. And so there's a lot of lore and mythology around eagles actually being able to kind of walk between worlds and being able to kind of be a water creature and a creature of the air. So there's a sense of really being able to kind of transcend like all levels of your life in some way when this card comes up. It's always a really important card anytime that you get the Eagle card, and it doesn't come up that often. I mean, I do these readings every month, and this card comes up sparingly, I've noticed. And so this is a really crucial time period for you, Leo, where you're being asked to kind of see things from a bigger perspective, but you're also going to see things clearly. Like, you'll see the details still, even though you're taking this broader viewpoint. And that really is the power of the sight of the eagle. They can focus in on details that are so small and so far away, while at the same time still being able to behold, you know, a very large landscape. So that's kind of like an overwhelming message, I think. And the way that it kind of goes deeper and becomes more personal is with the tarantula. So the tarantula represents being at a crossroads. And it represents especially a crossroads when it comes to creative decisions that you might be making, or when you find yourself at this point where you could, you know, take any one of several options, and you don't necessarily know what each road will lead to, but you're at the same time very heavily, like almost kind of spiritually invested, and maybe even sometimes feeling a little bit tired and burnt out, because just to get yourself to this point where you are at this crossroads, you had to already make a lot of decisions and put in a ton of effort in the past. So this is a card of like being really enmeshed in a situation and having the sensation that there is a lot at stake, creatively speaking. Like, you don't want to make the wrong choice, obviously, because you've worked so hard to get where you are now. But I feel like by rising above the situation a little bit and asking, you know, maybe you can even work with something like your higher self, or you can do a shamanic journey or a visualization of, like, you know, what does your higher self see? Like, if you can picture what that version of you, if you can envision an aspect of you, or a witnessing, you know, conscious aspect of you as being like a mile above you, just like able to see all of the different paths of probability and possibility that are sort of spidering out in front of you, and also to understand the choices and decisions that you've made in your past, and really, you know, doing so in a very self-compassionate way. I think maybe working with some kind of visualization like this, Leo, could be really helpful. As I'm describing it, I'm like, actually, I think I need to do that, which is, you know, not surprising, because the eagle is also an emblem of Scorpio. It's one of the totems of Scorpio, and Scorpio for you is a fellow fixed sign. It's actually your fourth house, you know, in terms of its spatial relationship to you. So there is something scorpionic about you this month. This is touching on really deep stuff. This is touching on your deepest and most kind of core values, and what those mean to you, and how, like, living those and embracing those, even when it's not easy to do that, brings you to life, Leo. It brings you to life. So really reaching into, like, where you're really at and defining that for yourself is a really big theme for you this month. Let's get some more kind of practical guidance for you, because so far what we've seen is like, it's very archetypal, right? So these messages may not be making sense in the most mundane way for you yet, but it's because this is a very archetypal month for you. And actually, now that I'm saying that, it doesn't surprise me, because you do have your full moon in Leo on February 9th. So a full moon in your sign means that you're actually at a turning point where the things that you've been working on for the last 6 months or so, especially when it comes to like your creativity and your business and how you express yourself, you're probably going to be sort of turning over a new leaf. So you could be finishing projects that you've been working on, or you could be reaching like a really important milestone, and then sort of looking at, okay, now between now and the next 6 months, what am I going to be thinking about, and how do I want to get, you know, where I'm trying to go, like what's my trajectory? That's going to be on your mind a lot. So you're going to be future focused this month, which I think is actually going to be good because you're going to have clear perceptions about what's possible. So let's take a look at the Knight of Pentacles, Ten of Swords, Nine of Cups with the Four of Wands. We've got the Seven of Pentacles with the Death card. Again, very scorpionic. This is a very scorpionic energy this month. With Strength and the Star, which is really beautiful. So you are ending the month really strong. That's for sure. I feel like as you go into February, the sense that I'm getting with these cards is that I feel like you're trying to improve upon a situation that I guess more or less needs to be accepted. Like there's not anything much that you can do beyond offering your own kind of practical support, or just kind of being, like practical is the right word, because you have this Knight of Pentacles and I feel like this is you, but the thing is this horse looks kind of sad to me, and the energy that he's riding into or that he's facing is the Ten of Swords. So there could be some kind of change that's going on that feels maybe almost like a loss for some of you. If that's the case, I feel like you probably are already aware of it at the time of listening to this reading. And I feel like you're sort of looking at ways that you can almost kind of help the situation, or that you can kind of make something easier for someone who's going through a difficult time, or maybe you have a friend or a boss or coworker or a colleague that has lost someone, and you're kind of trying to like hold down the fort of the business or of the normal, everyday responsibilities. You're trying to kind of provide that strength, right? And that structure, and that sense of like things are happening that are out of control, right? Like we don't have control over, when maybe if someone were to pass on, like this image kind of shows, or if something changes in the industry, for example, and people have to be let go, or, this Ten of Swords doesn't necessarily, always have to be like this kind of melodramatic thing, but it does represent shifts in life that we don't personally have control over. So it's kind of like accepting something that really is just part of life. It's like a fact of life. But you're trying to kind of be strong within that. And I kind of get this sense from you, like you're not even necessarily immediately involved in it, because this guy, he doesn't really look too upset to me. He looks like he's like, you know what, I recognize that I have a good standing right now. Like I recognize that I am the one that can most easily kind of hold down the fort or keep things moving forward in this situation. So you're kind of trying to do everything that you can, it seems like, to help someone who's in need, which is a really good thing. And then we get this kind of really interesting shift in energy where we go from the 10 to a 9 and a 4. And with the Nine of Cups, we see these two people like eating a bunch of food, or one person seems like he's eating a lot of food and the other guy seems like he's kind of just like handing it to him, or I don't know. So this deck, the After Tarot, is kind of illustrating the I guess the indulgence of this card, but it is still typically a good card, to have coming up, because it shows that there is an abundance of resources. There's an abundance of things to go around. And I feel like with this Four of Wands, it kind of shows me that there is some kind of potential like celebration that's being planned or that's going on right around this time period of your full moon that's coming up on February 9th. So you might be like attending a party around that time, like I don't know if you are a Leo who does any performance art, or if you are a reader, you could be going to the party and doing a reading or doing readings for people. You could also be like having a housewarming party. Like I could see something like that here, but there is something kind of festive, I think, to look forward to. And this does seem like it kind of takes some of the pressure off, or you can let off a little bit of steam with this. So have fun with it. Maybe not too much fun, but have fun with it. And I think, this does look like a really welcome kind of sign, especially after, some potentially like dealing with a situation that kind of has some like heaviness to it. Like I said before, even if it's not you directly that's being impacted, I feel like you are very much invested in supporting this situation in whatever way that you can. So I think that by the time you get to that full moon, I feel like there's just this really festive feel in the air for you. I feel like things are going well, in spite of whatever difficulties, you may be witnessing going on around you. It feels like in your, corner of things, life is going pretty smooth. By the time that you get to the third week of February, we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Death card. So this is where we get this sense with the farmer who has his like sickle, and he's just kind of broken off, and you can see he's just harvested the pentacle. And then we see the Death card here, and a lot of times the Death card will be illustrated as like a Grim Reaper type of guy with as they show in so many decks, a sickle, which is about it's a symbol of an ending for sure, but it's also a harvest, which is really clearly illustrated with this Seven of Pentacles card. We see this guy, I can almost hear him kind of whistling, like he's like doo doo doo, like I'm picking something, I'm taking something with me. And then we have the Death energy, so it is an ending. But somehow, I feel like this isn't a super heavy energy for most of you. I feel like this is more kind of a necessary like cleaning of house in a way. Or I feel like this energy in the third week of February, you might just feel like, okay, it's time to separate the wheat from the chaff here. It's time to figure out what I really value and what I don't care about anymore. And that might mean that you end some relationships, or that you set some clear boundaries. Like maybe you have a standing sort of Sunday night conversation that you do with a particular friend, and you're realizing now that you kind of dread doing it. Every time Sunday rolls around, you're like, oh, I would much rather just keep working on my creative stuff, or I would much rather, spend time with my family or whatever. And you're kind of just realizing, okay, you know what, this has served me, but it's done. Or maybe you have like a network that you're involved in, like a professional network, for example. I could see that with these cards too, that maybe you're kind of connected with some colleagues or some kind of social group, and you're realizing, I think I just need to take a step back from this. I could kind of see that here, but you are walking away with something of value, so it's not really a negative ending. I think it's more something that it's like the time has come for this, right? And so you're just going with the process that needs to happen. But I definitely see an ending, and that also makes sense because when you have a full moon in your sign, it's going to bring up things that are finished. It's going to kind of make you aware of the areas of life that have contributed as much as they possibly can to your growth. Like that's a really nice way to think about the fullness of the moon, is once the moon is completely full, it can't grow anymore. So it's time to start that process of releasing and sort of separating the wheat from the chaff, reflecting on the journey, and then, allowing maybe some of those reflections to percolate for a while until you start getting the new idea or the new kind of propensity for growth coming back again. But this is a normal cyclical part of our lives, both in a seasonal sense on Earth and also in an astrological sense. So for you, this is that moment of fullness where something has reached its highest potential, or something has reached its fullness. And that doesn't mean that you won't continue to grow or work on the things you're working on now. It just means that the particular way that you've been doing things, it has reached its fullest potential, and now you're going to be implementing some new strategies or releasing some things from your life that no longer are working for you. By the end of the month, though, this just looks really beautiful. You have your card, Leo. The Strength card is ruled by Leo. And we also have the Star, which is the Aquarius card. So there's a real subtle message here, which is the fact that Leo and Aquarius are opposites to each other in the astrological wheel. That's why you have your full moon during Aquarius season. The Strength card is showing that there's something I feel that you're kind of making peace with as I'm looking at this. Like, she's kind of hugging the lion, and it feels like she's sort of making peace with a part of herself, or maybe like she's making peace with something that she used to be afraid of, for example. And the Star card is, you know, showing this person sort of going through this cleansing. So I feel like the subtle message here is actually that you are releasing parts of yourself that you maybe up to this very, very month you didn't realize didn't belong anymore. Like, don't be surprised and don't be hard on yourself if something that you've been like curious about for a while kind of takes less of a hold on you, like in terms of your curiosity and interest, and then you start embracing something, ironically, that you were sort of not really drawn to or not really interested in, like up until this point. So I just want you to be open-minded, I guess, is the point here, because we have, you know, the energy of Leo and Aquarius, and I feel like because these oppose each other, it's like there's a potential that you could be questioning like really firmly held or sort of repetitive thoughts that you have in your mind, like essentially releasing like major beliefs that you've held for a long time. But you have to have like an open mind to like what you're going to replace those with. So there are going to be messages, I think, coming through for you, Leo. There are going to be synchronicities. You're going to overhear little snippets of conversation, or you're going to see signs and omens that kind of remind you to stay open. And I think that like they will probably come right before or right during those moments when you have a tendency to kind of want to stick back into like more of a fixed perspective on things. So just keep your eye out, because this is a really mysterious reading. Like this is a really powerful month for Leos. Like you're going to be able to accomplish a lot, but you're going to probably do it in surprising ways, or you're going to realize that your motivations are different than you thought they were. So I encourage you to kind of embrace that. And I hope that something in this reading was beneficial to you. I feel like so much that came through here is very etheric, and so I think that many of you are going to be uncovering more and more of the lessons of this month as you go through it, but you're absolutely on the right track. So don't be worried if you have this inclination to like separate yourself from things that you maybe have been working on or relationships that you've invested a lot in. It might just be time to harvest, right? It might just be time to reap the rewards of everything that you've done. There could be money involved in that, looking at these cards, because you have the Nine of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. So you do have some happy energies, but you're also, we can't overlook the fact that we have the Ten of Swords over the Death card. There are very real things that have to be let go of in order to walk through this threshold and enter into the next phase. But I see your prayers being answered, you know, with these cards, with the Star and Strength and Nine of Cups. I see a lot of potential for fulfillment coming in for you. So keep showing up, Leo. That's the best thing that I can say, is keep showing up. Keep doing your thing. You're a total badass, and I hope that this reading has given you something useful to think about as you go through the month. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. subscribing. All those things are really helpful to my channel, and they really help me to know that these readings are beneficial to you. You can leave me a little heart emoji below and let me know that you're still with me, or you can just say, I'm still here, because I love, love, love getting those from you guys. And yeah, I'll put the Tarot Self-Therapy information below the video as well. And if you would like to donate to support all the time and energy I put into these readings, I will also put the donate information below as well. Thank you so much for being here, Leo. Sending you a big hug, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.